Those who make
You're
peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution necessary.
Your time is up.
Arizona elections officials held a public comment and like a Q&A segment recently after the election took place. Now, if you're unaware of what happened in Arizona in the Arizona elections in 2022, or if this is like 5 years in the future or something, let me give you a little rundown. Kari Lake was running for governor as a Republican. She's a Trump sycophant, and she lost. And as a result of losing, she and Donald Trump went on a full-blown tirade, a full attack on the Arizona election systems and made all kinds of claims of voter fraud, incorrect claims of voter fraud, of course. Got people whipped into a blood frenzy, and lo and behold, during the Q&A section at this Arizona elections thing that was held, like this board meeting or whatever, people lost their minds. So I wanted to listen to some of the crazier, more unhinged things that people spouted off at this election meeting, basically. But before we do, let me show you how we got here. Listen to what Kari Lake had to say about the election, among some other things. This is late November 2022. Check out what she had to say about it.
I had one report, Steve, where they rolled somebody in a bed to vote, an elderly person who wanted to vote.
Okay, is that a bad thing? This is called high voter turnout. Fantastic, right? They roll them in a bed so that they can vote. That's our civic duty. That's our system working, right?
When that person got up to vote, they watched as their ballot went in and out, never got counted. This is absolute outrageousness on behalf of Maricopa County.
What? Okay, so somebody tries to vote and they couldn't vote because the ballot wasn't going in, or what is she talking about? I don't understand. If somebody was at the place and wanted to vote and they had the ballot, what was the hang up? I don't get what she's saying here. This makes no sense at all. But you know what? It doesn't have to make sense because people view her as the elections expert. She knows how all of this works, and she's claiming that there's fraud, so there must be, right?
I don't know how it's coincidental. I can't even imagine. I mean, don't insult my intelligence by acting like this was just, oops, we screwed up.
Don't insult her intelligence. I'm sorry. It's hard not to at this point. Late November 2022, she went out there and continued her tirade against the election systems in Arizona. This is deeply destructive to democracy. Although for what it's worth, she's not going to be governor. So it is kind of entertaining in its own way to watch her flail around like a fish out of water and fail miserably over and over again. It's not good that she's saying and doing these things, but there isn't much of a risk that she's going to actually take office. So we can get a little bit of entertainment out of it at least, right?
And they're dragging their feet. They don't want to give us the information, so we're asking the courts to force them to give us information. This is not our main case. When our main case drops, they will hear it. Trust me, they will hear it. And they better think really hard before Ducey and Hobbs sign their John Hancock to that certification.
So Ducey and Hobbs, I think, are like the Secretary of State and the current governor. I'm not really sure. Anyways, they're the ones that have to sign off on election results, basically. So what she just said was they better be careful and think long and hard, that's what she said, about signing their John Hancock to these election results, thus implying that this will be their death warrant. That's what she is saying when she says John Hancock, because John Hancock's signature was famously humongous, intentionally big and easy to read as basically an FU to the British government or whatever when they were about to go toward the English government, when they were about to go to war with them. John Hancock signed, was it the Declaration of Independence? I think it was. Yeah, it was the Declaration of Independence he signed. And he wanted to make sure his name was clear and legible on that paper because he knew it was basically his death warrant that he was signing. That is the implication behind what Kari Lake just said. They better think long and hard, that's what she said, before they sign their John Hancock to this document. I.e., if you sign this and say our election is complete and Katie Hobbs takes the governorship in Arizona in 2022, this will be your death warrant. How is this? I mean, this is what a dog whistle is. Most people don't hear anything. They don't think anything of it. They just move on with their lives. Oh, that's a common phrase for a signature, a John Hancock. Put your John Hancock right here when you're signing a check or something. But in this context, and when it's being spoken to this set of people, this certain subset of the population understands fully what she's talking about. That is how a dog whistle works. That is how propaganda works. And in my opinion, something like that, it should be taken as the threat that it is, with all legal implications that go along with it, if there are any.
They better think long and hard about
That's what she said.
what they know about what happened in this election. Because when we drop our lawsuit, they will hear it. We have whistleblowers coming forward and at least one smoking gun in it.
Hey, fantastic. Turn them over. That's all we need. We just need to see what you've got. Would you be surprised to find that up to this point, she has turned over absolutely zero evidence of wrongdoing in the Arizona election, and the courts have received zero evidence from her about this? Not a single court in Arizona or elsewhere has heard a case determining that Kari Lake was right. There was fraud sufficient to turn over the Arizona election. Weird, right? She said she had a smoking gun a second ago. Well, language like this obviously gets people whipped into a blood frenzy. That is the purpose of this type of language. This John Hancock language and whatnot. All of this other stuff. So at this election meeting where these people are like holding this, this event, these are the like election supervisors that are holding this thing, this Q&A period, where people can go up there, ask questions or make comments or whatever, and then leave. Well, a bunch of people came from out of state, interestingly enough, people that don't even live in Arizona, show up to this Q&A period to tell these election supervisors how they feel, bizarrely. It got really weird. So let's listen to a couple. Again, these people don't even live here. What are they doing at this meeting? They're completely unaffected by the results. Check this one out. Late November 2022 is when this happened. Listen to what this woman had to say.
I'm questioning why is nobody talking about us over the media? I'm nobody. I'm just like...
Because it's complete nonsense.
Mother trying to save my family because my kids were taken from me when they were little because I fought for them medical freedom because I don't go there, okay? But I want to tell you this, guys.
Okay. Your kids aren't just taken from you. I'm not sure what she's talking about right now. They won't just take kids. I mean, if you're in a vaccine mandate school system, like West Virginia, for example, you're mandated to have all of your vaccines or certain specific vaccines before you go to school. Now, if you don't want to get those vaccines, you have an out. There is an option. You can homeschool your kid, for example. That's a choice. And then they don't have to be vaccinated. Where along the way did this woman mess up? What did she do that got her kids taken? There's something more than just, I don't want them vaccinated. There is something more to the story. What was it, I wonder?
I feel this like a joke, but please, Arizona, I love Arizona. I love all of you. I love you, Stephen.
Again, a lot of these people that came up here don't even live in Arizona. They're from out of state. They're like Trumpist nutcases that follow him around to rallies, and they showed up to this. Same exact thing with people from Trump rallies, from all over the country, showing up to school board meetings and threatening the board members and going absolutely nuts over the most ridiculous stuff. It's all like MAGA extremist nutcases that are doing this stuff.
I voted for you, okay? This is not about hate, love and hate. You know what? Love is to say no to wrongdoing, and
Okay, I guess, but there was no wrongdoing here. The election was completely above board. That's the weird thing. Why are we listening to these nutter butters say this nutter buttery? It's so bizarre. It gets even more bizarre if you can believe it. Late November 2022, that's when all of these are from. Listen to what this woman had to say at the stand.
I came here today to get an up-close and personal look at the 7 traitors to the United States Constitution.
Okay, again,
who are
please.
sitting at that desk.
They did absolutely nothing wrong. They ran the election as they were supposed to. This woman has very obviously bought into conspiracy theories about the election, and it's deeply sad. And my mom had a dress exactly like that when I was like 8 years old.
You were set to receive a subpoena this morning at 9:30.
How would she know that, first of all? Second, what was the subpoena for? And how did she know that they were set to receive one at 9:30 specifically? This makes no sense. If you're subpoenaed, to my knowledge, you are served that piece of paper by a process server who will track you down whenever they possibly can, at any time or whatever.
What did you do? You called your meeting for 8 a.m. What are you hiding?
Okay, that makes no sense at all. Can't the process server just, like, bring them the subpoena at 9 still? I don't understand what she's getting at here.
I will not repeat your election crimes.
No, please do. That would be absolutely useful. Please repeat them for us.
I will just say, not certifying the machines constitutes a form of interference. And in case no one...
Not certifying the machines? I don't even understand what she means by that. Not certifying the machines?
In case no one has enlightened you people, interference in an election in the United States of America, Mr. Gates, is a capital offense. It's considered treason.
That does not sound right. I don't think that's true, but okay.
Punishable by the death penalty. So it's obvious why you, Hobbs, and Deep State Ducey are desperate to keep your cronies in office. The voting booth is supposed to be
Your time is
a
up.
time for a peaceful revolution. Those who make
Your
peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution necessary.
Your time is up.
That's disturbing stuff right there. Seriously. That's disturbing stuff. She's basically saying she's prepared to literally engage in terrorist actions to get rid of these people. I can't even believe they're sitting here in front of these people without security. Well, I guess there's a little cop over here in the corner. This tiny little fella right here with the little itty-bitty badge on his chest. So there's that. But what is this woman doing over here? Shaking her hands like she just don't care? What is this? Absolutely bizarre. Every one of these people. God, it's weird. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. Or you can check out my Telltale Unfiltered channel. I go through long-form, unhinged sermons from all kinds of people, from Hank Kunneman to Greg Locke to Jehovah's Witnesses. So give it a look. Links are in the description. Okay, now back to the video. If you think that one's weird, it gets even weirder. That one is not even the weirdest one. Listen to this one.
Justice, you high and mighty politicians don't even know the meaning of the word. Fairness, which of you has any left? Not one. All your dealings are crooked. You give justice in exchange for bribes. These men are born sinners, lying from their earliest words. They are...
Okay, now think about what she's saying here and the way that she's phrasing it. She has done something that televangelists have been doing for a while. She's mastered something that televangelists have been trying to master. And that is sounding like the Bible. Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, he mastered this skill too. When he wrote the Book of Mormon, he mastered this type of language. He mastered the ability to say something that sounds like it's right out of the Bible. Only the interesting thing is the 1700s version of the Bible, that translation of the Bible sounded very different than the modern day translation of the Bible. So Joseph Smith, when he translated the Book of Mormon, supposedly translated, quote unquote, when he translated the Book of Mormon, he made it sound like his edition of the, 1700s King James version of the Bible. So it sounds absolutely nothing like the modern day Bible. But she has mastered the skill of making her speech sound just like the modern day Bible, just like televangelists have done. So she's basically trying to lay a prophecy out for us. She's implying, if not outright saying, that what she's laying down here for us is a prophecy from God. So let's listen to this prophecy from God, this supposed prophecy about the election system or the election supervisors or whatever.
Their earliest words, they are poisonous, deadly snakes, cobras that close their ears to the most expert of charmers.
Do snakes have ears? I've never seen a snake ear before. I would love to see one.
Oh God, break off their fangs. Tear out the teeth of these young lions, Lord. Let them disappear like water into thirsty ground. Make their weapons useless in their hands.
See, this sounds exactly like something you'd read out of the book of, the Song of Solomon or Proverbs or something like that. She has mastered the art of saying things that sounds like it's coming straight from the Bible when it's not.
Useless in their hands. Let them be as snails that dissolve into slime, and as those who die at birth, who never see the sun. God will sweep away both old and young. He will destroy them more quickly than wicked men, more quickly than a cooking pot can feel the blazing fire of thorns beneath it. The godly shall rejoice in the triumph of the right. They shall walk in the blood-stained fields of slaughtered wicked men.
Did you catch that? The godly shall walk in the blood-stained fields of wicked men? What is that what she said?
The blood-stained fields of slaughtered wicked men.
She's talking about the people standing before her. Seriously, this is a death cult. It is deeply disturbing to hear people talk like this. Honestly, is there anything knocking around in that noggin? Is it just empty space between those two ears? I don't understand. This is just bizarre and creepy and weird. And somebody's telling me that snakes do not, in fact, have ears. So this couldn't possibly be biblical. Or this is something that God would know, right? That snakes don't have ears? I'm just saying. Did she just make this up right off the top of her head? Of course she did.
Then at last, everyone will know that good is rewarded and that there is a God who judges justly here on earth. Thank you.
Dude, just creep city over here. My God. And look at this guy. Listen to what he had to say.
Slave. That's what I am to this system.
Oh, and look, there's a woman doing jazz hands in the background. Why is she doing jazz hands back there? What does that mean?
Slave. That's what I am to this system, to your corruption. This is outrageous.
You know what's truly disgusting? When somebody very obviously doesn't understand what the meaning of the word slave is, starts misusing it and claiming to be one themselves. That is truly disgusting. He has no idea what slavery is like, what it looks like, how it affects people or who it affects, and it's deeply disgusting for him to claim to be a slave to any system at all. Grotesque, maybe, the word.
This system, to your corruption. This is outrageous. This is a national crisis, and you're giving people 2 minutes to address a national crisis. And the way that you guys can just sit there, it's disgusting. Watching you pledge allegiance to my flag.
Actually, it's America's flag.
Was disgusting, the way that you sold us out. You said you don't have the statutory authority to do anything. You're going to take a yes-no vote. What does that tell us?
They don't have the statutory authority because there's nothing to do. The election was not stolen. It wasn't fraudulent. There wasn't a mass fraud on a level big enough to flip votes. I'm sure out of hundreds of thousands or even millions of people, some jagoff probably went to the ballot box and also mailed a ballot in. And that has been caught. I mean, there were multiple examples of Trump supporters doing that exact thing. You know why? Because Trump told them to do that exact thing.
600,000 people could vote by absentee in this state. Are you confident in that system?
Well, they'll go out and they'll vote, and they're going to have to go and check their vote by going to the poll and voting that way, because if it tabulates, then they won't be able to do that.
He told people to vote twice, and they did. They most definitely did, and they were caught doing so. But would you be surprised to find that there was not a systemic effort or even any systemic event taking place of Democrats going out and voting multiple times to put their candidate into office in any state, in any county, in any district in the United States in 2020, 2016, 2018, or 2022? None of them. But go on, keep calling yourself a slave. Keep listening to what he has to say here.
You're going to take a yes-no vote. What does that tell us? Yes or no? If it's just yes, then why are you here? Why are you here then? You have discretion. And when you certify something, you're saying that it's trustworthy. There's nothing trustworthy about this. This is theater. It's optics. I was a longtime prosecutor. I went after drug traffickers. This is vote trafficking.
Is that true? He was a prosecutor that went after drug traffickers, did he say? Something tells me that he's completely full of it. First of all, I have no idea who this guy is. And second, I would think that if he was a prosecutor for some period in his life, he would have enough money in retirement funds to get a haircut. But I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe prosecuting drug crimes doesn't pay very much.
This is vote trafficking at its finest. I've seen the criminal element. You are vote traffickers.
What is a vote trafficker? I don't understand. What does that even mean? What would that look like? You move drugs over the border if you're a drug trafficker, and you move votes over the border if you're a vote trafficker? What? This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I just don't understand.
You are a vote trafficker. Flagrant. Criminal. What are you going to do about it? You've sold us out. You sold us out. You've sold us out. So we're not here to be civil. You're worried about language?
We're not here to be civil. That should tell you all you need to know. They're not here to be civil. And again, probably for the third time, these people are not all from Arizona. Many of these people traveled from other areas to speak at these events. You know why? Trumpists, the MAGA movement, the extremists like this are organized. They know when these events are taking place. They know where they're taking place. They know where to go. They know who to talk to. They know what to say when they get up there to the lectern. They've done this a billion times at school board meetings and other places. This is an organized effort, an organized campaign. And they are not here to be civil. Disturbing stuff.
Language? We're worried about our voices being stolen and never getting a fair election again. That's what we're worried about.
Well, you shouldn't be worried about that. It was a fair election before, and it's a fair election this time. Aside from Republicans getting in there and trying to throw a wrench into the works, there was a Trump supporter who was famously a poll watcher last election, and then this previous one, he actually got into a position where he was capable of copying data, voter data over, and did so. He copied voter data over to look for anomalies, quote unquote. I have a video about it. Not doing it this time. I may do another story on it next time. We'll see. But anyway, the point is, MAGA people are doing everything they can to throw a wrench into the works and give their guys an edge. Everything that they can, and scream about being persecuted when they don't get to give their guy an edge.
Is being stolen and never getting a fair election again. That's what we're worried about.
Kids.
So a curse
Look, people in the background doing jazz hands again. Why? You got me.
So a curse upon you, a curse upon all of you, you smug people. What, you got another chicken farm that needs to burn down, Mr. Hickman?
Did you catch what he just said? You got another chicken farm that needs to be burned down? Is that a threat from this guy? It most definitely sounded like one. He's looking at one of the election supervisors and, in a veiled way, threatening to burn down his farm, it sounded like.
People. What, you got another chicken farm that needs to burn down, Mr. Hickman?
Mr. Chairman. All right,
Am I
again,
bothering you?
we're
Am I
just-
bothering you? Because
By openly threatening people, you're bothering me a little bit.
this election bothered me. And you're doing nothing about it. I don't care about that stupid buzzard. This is sickening. You have the power as the chairperson to enlarge the time limits and actually hear your constituents instead of putting a muzzle on them. I
Thank
see
you.
right
Your
through you.
time is up. Thank
I mean, maybe they would if he was saying something valuable and not threatening the people standing in front of him. This is so disturbing, dude. How did people get to this point that they're willing to sit here and do jazz hands for 20 minutes straight? I don't understand. I don't know, man. This is just crazy. These people are unhinged. Let me know what you think about it in the comments.